cold wind whispered through the dry pine branches, carrying with it the faint rustle of brittle leaves. Nima set his handheld tape recorder on the tripod and stared at the tiny display screen. The digital timer ticked forward slowly. He had come here to capture silence. It was his new project, collecting the natural sounds of the night for his YouTube channel. But this time, his destination was a special place, the village of Kellar, a place so forgotten that its name no longer appeared on modern road signs. The pickup truck driver who had dropped him off at the village entrance muttered under his breath as Nima climbed out. "Don't stay here past sundown, son. The nights are heavy." Then, without saying goodbye, the man hit the gas and drove away. At first, Nima thought it was just one of those cliched warnings villagers gave to strangers, meant either to scare them or amuse them. But as he listened to the stillness around him, he realized this place was different. The house he had chosen to stay in was the only building whose roof was still intact. Its blackened wooden beams smelled of dampness and old smoke. The front door hung slightly crooked, and its hinges groaned in protest. When he stepped inside, the dust rose into the air like a pale mist. In the middle of the room stood a short table with 3 chairs. One of the chairs had been knocked over, as if someone had left in a hurry. In the corner sat a rusted wall heater. Nima placed his recorder on the table and said, "All right, let's see what sounds this place has for us." He switched it on and stepped outside to set up his camera. When he returned, the device was still recording, but the sound wave on the tiny display was rising and falling. He froze for a moment. There was no sound inside the house. So why was the waveform moving? He put on the headphones to check the recording, and what he heard made his spine turn cold. A faint. That night, Nima decided to spend the first few hours recording pure silence. He shut the heater's vent, switched off his flashlight, and sat in complete darkness. The only light was a thin silver line of moonlight seeping through the crack in the window. Time passed, and his eyelids began to grow heavy, but just as he was drifting towards sleep, a sound came, very faint, like fingernails dragging across wood. Nima held his breath. The sound was coming from the wall behind him. The same wall where the rusted heater was fixed. It was as if someone on the other side of the wall was scraping the surface with their fingertips. When he turned on the flashlight, the sound stopped. He walked over to the heater and examined it carefully. Nothing seemed unusual, except for a fresh, faint line on the wood, like a scratch that had been made only moments ago. The next day, Nima went out to explore the surroundings. Most of the houses had no roofs, and their walls were split wit. On the 3rd morning, when Nima stepped outside, he noticed something that hadn't been there the night before. Small, elongated footprints beginning right at his doorstep and trailing into the middle of the dirt road. Strangely, instead of leading anywhere, the prints simply ended, vanishing into nothing, as if their owner had dissolved into the air. He crouched down to take a closer look. The prints appeared bare, yet they weren't quite human. The toes were long and curved, like hooks. That evening, the air grew unnaturally thick with fog. It rolled in from the forest and swallowed the narrow streets. When Nima returned to the house to fetch some gear, he heard voices in the mist before he could shut the door. Short whispers, several at once, as if a group was speaking just out of sight. The words weren't clear, but their rhythm resembled a warped, off-key lullaby. Nima told himself it was only the wind pushing through the branches. But his heartbeat refused to bell.